What's up, Cowboys Nation? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a huge report that's sending shockwaves through Cowboys fans everywhere. The possibility that the Dallas Cowboys could be looking to trade Trevon Diggs or even cut him. That's right, you heard me correctly. Trevon Diggs, the star cornerback who has been one of the brightest stars on the Cowboys' defense for the last few seasons, might be on his way out. Whether the Cowboys are planning to trade him or even release him outright, this is a situation we need to explore in detail because it could have major implications on the team moving forward. So, grab your popcorn because we're going to break this down and take a deep dive into the reasons behind these rumors, what it means for Diggs' future, and how it could shape the Cowboys' roster going forward. Let's start with the basics. Trevon Diggs has been a standout player since entering the league in 2020. In just his second season, he became one of the most dynamic cornerbacks in the NFL, finishing with 11 interceptions and earning a Pro Bowl selection. He quickly made a name for himself with his ability to make plays on the ball, often jumping routes and coming up with huge turnovers for the Cowboys. His ability to shut down receivers while also taking chances and making big plays has been a crucial part of the Cowboys' defense. But even though Diggs has had a meteoric rise and shown he has elite potential, the situation in Dallas seems to be a bit more complicated than just keeping him around because of his talent. So, why would the Cowboys even consider moving on from a player like Diggs? There are a few factors at play here. First and foremost, it all comes down to money. As we know, NFL teams are operating within a salary cap, and every team needs to balance paying its star players while also making sure they don't overspend in areas that don't provide enough return on investment. Trevon Diggs is entering the final year of his rookie contract, and if he continues to perform at a high level, he's going to demand a massive payday in the coming offseason. We're talking upwards of $20 million a year for a cornerback of his caliber. That's a significant chunk of cap space, and with the Cowboys already dealing with a somewhat tight salary cap situation, they need to make tough decisions about where they allocate their resources. The Cowboys already have major contracts on the books, including those for Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons, and other key players on both sides of the ball. These are all core players who are essential to the team's success, and keeping them around is a priority. However, paying Diggs at the level he's likely to command could be tough for the Cowboys, especially when considering that cornerback isn't necessarily a position the team can't afford to retool. Sure, Diggs is great, but the Cowboys may decide they can find a replacement or continue developing other players who might be able to step into a similar role without breaking the bank. In fact, Dallas has been looking at some younger cornerbacks over the last couple of seasons who could emerge as viable options in the secondary, so Diggs might not be irreplaceable in their eyes. But it's not just about money. Let's talk about Diggs' play on the field. He's undoubtedly one of the most talented cornerbacks in the league, but he's also been a bit of a boom or bust player. His aggressive style of play, which often leads to interceptions, also means he can be prone to getting burned by quicker receivers or quarterbacks who can exploit his gambling tendencies. In the past, Diggs has given up some big plays, sometimes losing his coverage due to his risk-taking. This has led to a few criticisms about his consistency. While he's been a ball hawk, the Cowboys' defensive scheme might be shifting toward a more balanced approach that values a more conservative, lockdown cornerback rather than one who is always taking chances. If this is the direction the team is heading in, they might feel that Diggs' style isn't a perfect fit for what they want to do defensively in the long run. Another reason the Cowboys could be looking to move on from Diggs is team chemistry. We've heard whispers that, at times, Diggs' attitude and his approach to the game have created friction in the locker room. Now, let's be clear, there have been no public reports of any locker room issues, but there have been some subtle hints that Diggs might not always see eye to eye with the rest of the defensive unit. The Cowboys' defense has been a lot about unity and collective effort, and if Diggs' individual style of play or mindset doesn't mesh with the broader team philosophy, the front office might feel that moving on could be the right decision for the long-term stability of the defense. We saw a similar situation with other players in the past, where individual brilliance didn't always translate into long-term success if it caused friction with the team's culture. Now, let's talk about the possibility of the Cowboys cutting Trevon Diggs, which sounds crazy, but it's actually something that's been mentioned in some of the reports. Cutting a player of Diggs' caliber would be a bold and controversial move, but it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility. The main benefit of releasing Diggs would be freeing up a substantial amount of cap space, which could then be used to re-sign other key players, bolster the defensive line, or bring in a different cornerback. The Cowboys have done this kind of thing before, making tough calls to prioritize long-term financial health over keeping every star player. Cutting Diggs would be a worst-case scenario for the Cowboys, but if they find that they simply can't make the finances work, or if they can't find a suitable trade partner, this might be the last resort. That being said, if the Cowboys do decide to cut him, it would have a massive impact on the secondary. Diggs has been one of the key contributors in the defensive backfield, and losing him would leave a significant void at cornerback. The Cowboys would likely have to go into full rebuilding mode at the position, perhaps giving more opportunities to younger players like Kelvin Joseph or Nahshon Wright, or even looking outside the organization for a free agent to fill the void. But cutting Diggs would undoubtedly be a huge blow, and one that would make Cowboys fans question whether the team is truly all in on this season or if they're starting to prepare for the future. If the Cowboys decide that trading Diggs is the best option, they would need to find a suitor willing to pay a premium for his services. This is where the trade rumors get really interesting. There are several teams in the league that could be looking for a cornerback like Diggs, especially one with his playmaking ability. Teams like the Miami Dolphins, New England Patriots, or Las Vegas Raiders come to mind as potential trade partners. These teams could see Diggs as a missing piece in their secondary, and they might be willing to give up significant assets, including first-round picks, to acquire him. The Cowboys would be looking for a major return in a trade. They wouldn't just trade Diggs for a couple of mid-round picks. They would want something substantial that could help them build for the future while still remaining competitive. As much as the trade rumors are swirling, it's important to remember that Diggs is still a fan favorite, and his departure would sting for many Cowboys supporters. He's been a beacon of excitement on defense, and losing him would certainly change the dynamic of the team. But sometimes, tough decisions have to be made in order to keep the team financially healthy and make sure the roster is built for sustainable success. It all boils down to what the Cowboys feel is best for the long-term future of the team. So, what does all of this mean for the Cowboys moving forward? Well, if they trade or cut Diggs, it will signal a shift in their defensive philosophy. They might be willing to move on from one of their top stars in order to solidify other areas of the roster and make room for future success. Losing Diggs would be a big hit, but it could also open the door for other players to step up and prove themselves as legitimate contributors. The secondary would certainly look different without Diggs, but the Cowboys would still have a talented defense, and they could potentially make moves in free agency or through the draft to bring in new blood. At the end of the day, this is a high-stakes situation for the Cowboys. Whether they decide to trade or cut Diggs, it's clear that the front office has a lot of thinking to do. They have to balance the immediate needs of the team with the long-term vision, and that's never an easy task. Cowboys fans, I want to hear your thoughts on all of this. Do you think the Cowboys should move on from Trevon Diggs, or do you believe they should do whatever it takes to keep him on the team? Drop your comments down below and let's talk about it. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed the content and subscribe for more updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out, Cowboys Nation.